Greater Boston businesses and the people working at them create life-saving treatments, innovative technologies, global financial institutions, and pillars of higher education.
Welcome to the Chamber's annual Business Outlook Address. I'm Jim Rooney, President and CEO of the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce. I'm proud to share some of the accomplishments achieved by the Chamber team, our members and board during 2023. And I will discuss both the opportunities and challenges we face in 2024. Throughout 2023, we demonstrated that we can accomplish great things for our employers, workforce, and families when we collaborate with our partners in state and local government. I applaud the business community's leadership, and I'm grateful for the partnership with our government officials. We have much to be proud of, and we have all the ingredients of a strong and growing economy led by our talented workforce. But much work remains to address issues of competitiveness, transportation, housing, an uncertain economy, and more over the coming year. In 2023, the Chamber activated our long-term strategy to ensure Massachusetts is a place where all people and all businesses can thrive. With this goal in mind, the Boston Chamber launched our Start, Stay, Succeed initiative. The Chamber's goal is to position Massachusetts as a place where people forge their legacies, where they start their careers, stay in the Commonwealth, and succeed in their personal and professional lives. At the same time, we want the Commonwealth to be the best place for the free market economy to work, to start a business, grow a business, create jobs, to achieve long-term success that benefit workers and consumers, and to create resilient communities and equitable economy across the Commonwealth. But we cannot compete and win unless we address the policies holding us back. One of the most urgent issues is the high cost of living, working, and doing business in Massachusetts. According to the Tax Foundation, Massachusetts is ranked 46th out of 50 states in its Tax Climate Index. To help make the tax climate more competitive, our governor and legislature, in partnership with the business community, passed the Commonwealth's first comprehensive tax relief proposal in 20 years. In January of 2023, the Chamber, in partnership with the Mass CPAs, led the way in the business community by publicly proposing a menu of tax reform policy recommendations. Our team worked throughout the year to promote tax cuts, and in September of 2023, Governor Healey signed historic tax relief into law that will make a difference for workers, families, and businesses. This is a meaningful first step. The Chamber looks forward to continuing to work with the Governor and Legislature in 2024 on reforming additional outlier tax policies that make it difficult to attract and retain jobs and talent. Our culture of working with our government partners is reflected in many of the well-known policies of today, including paid family medical leave and pay equity, all legislation that was improved through Chamber advocacy to benefit our talented workforce while being feasible for employers. More recently, I'm pleased to share that the House and Senate have incorporated our changes in the draft bill focused on pay transparency. We look forward to the final version in 2024 that formalizes the Chamber's feedback. It's important that the business community across the Commonwealth work together. This year, the Chamber organized a statewide collaboration with regional chambers through a new Massachusetts Chambers Policy Network. The 10 organizations in the network represent more than 10,000 employers and millions of workers and customers from across the Commonwealth, a powerful voice. Local and regional chamber leaders from Cape Cod to Cape Ann and Salem to Springfield are out in their communities, talking to their small businesses every day. These leaders know their community's issues better than anyone. Now our knowledge and our voices are united. When the current fiscal year state budget was passed last summer, it did include the recent tax cuts, but it also increased general fund spending by $3.3 billion, or 6.2% over the fiscal year 23 budget signed the previous year. This reflects the recent trend in large state budget increases. Actual state budget spending increased by 26.7% between fiscal year 18 and fiscal year 2022, while the Boston Area Consumer Price Index grew at only 14.7% over the same period. Last fall, the network cautioned government leaders that the rate of spending growth in state government was unsustainable and risky. In 2024, our state government is now faced with the difficult challenge of practicing fiscal discipline. With tax receipts underperforming for the first half of the year, we'll need some belt-tightening. And a consensus revenue target for the fiscal 25 budget that spends less is a good beginning. We are pleased to see the administration and legislature approach next year's budget preparation with a measure of fiscal prudence, and we call on others in state government to embrace the same philosophy throughout this year's budget process and the remaining legislative session. Throughout this year, the network will closely watch the results of the state's conversations with the federal government on the $2.5 billion in unemployment aid that was spent out of the wrong account during the previous administration. While we hope our state leaders can negotiate a favorable outcome, repayment cannot be once again borne by the business community. You will hear more from the network's united and collective policy voice throughout the year. In our capital city of Boston, Mayor Wu continues to lead workers, families, and businesses with vision and passion. I commend Mayor Wu for leading on mobility, education, entrepreneurship, equity, public safety, and more. Our strategic work with Mayor Wu and the Boston City Council will continue as we partner to create successful schools, support small businesses like our space grantees, strengthen transportation, and provide critical public safety resources. In this post-pandemic era, many cities are experiencing less vibrancy in their downtown areas. Like other large cities, our downtown is at a turning point. I continue to hear from our member companies that they are still navigating the return of workers to the office and the impacts on office real estate. Our downtown vitality depends on the presence of people, residents, visitors, and the workers that come into the office and support our downtown small businesses. Broken transportation and lack of affordable childcare are obstacles to getting people back to the office in downtown. Our workforce cannot lose parents, especially working mothers. We also have growing concerns about personal safety downtown. Compared to other major American cities, Boston's public safety record is impressive. But we cannot ignore our own data or national trends of shoplifting, antisocial behavior, the mental health crisis, and crime connected to drug abuse that affect the quality of life and economic activity. According to police data, shootings are down, but overall crime in the city increased 2% from the year before. We must ensure that people feel safe living in their communities and working, shopping, and exploring downtown. We live in a global city where the threat of terrorism and mass shootings require intelligence gathering and preparation. We need to recommit to support our first responders by providing the necessary resources and staffing while holding them accountable. Mayor Wu and Commissioner Cox have already demonstrated immense leadership in the complex issues of neighborhood policing and revitalizing downtown while fostering a safe environment. We will continue to partner with them to protect our residents, businesses, and communities. Even with all these efforts at the city and state level, our need to sharpen our competitive edge continues. We cannot let competitive complacency win. Last year, we visited Raleigh and the Research Triangle in North Carolina. Joined by Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, Mayor Wu, and Boston civic and business leaders, we saw and heard how Raleigh's government officials and business leaders are intentionally pulling our talent and businesses away. According to new census data, during the previous 3 years, 122,000 more residents moved out of the Commonwealth than moved in. And many of those who left were young people in their late 20s and 30s. Our current and future workforce are leaving our state. This should trouble all of us, and we should focus on the challenges creating this trend. The current workforce shortage can be alleviated by comprehensive immigration reform that encourages legal, rational immigration. Our congressional delegation must provide leadership to advance meaningful reform that modernizes our country's immigration system. Successful immigration reform must create a legal process that is humane and at the same time secure. In Massachusetts, we have a surge of migrant asylum seekers with more than 7,500 families enrolled in the state shelter system and hundreds on the waiting list. They need housing and work authorizations, and Massachusetts is spending $45 million per month to deal with this crisis. We need our congressional delegation to meet this moment and support secure borders, a rational immigration system, and provide the necessary federal funding. In 2024, the Greater Boston Chamber will work with major city chambers across the country to bring greater focus to this issue in Washington. It's important that we also consider the broader economic uncertainty that residents, business leaders, and policymakers have on their minds. Like people across the country, our residents are wrestling with dwindling pandemic savings, rising household debt, and the return of student loan repayments. Business and commercial development investments have slowed as interest rates increase, making financial activities more expensive and capital less available. This is having an impact on large commercial and construction development in our region. The decrease of cranes in the sky signals what we all know. We're going to continue to see a slowdown in new commercial construction activity at least through 2024. And our downtown commercial real estate values will continue to decline because of this and other meaningful factors, like office occupancy rates and changing commercial property demand. Government at all levels must be mindful and avoid policies and regulations that makes this situation worse. In fact, it is time to review development processes and regulations put in place during our boom years and embrace streamlining. We also have a presidential election year ahead of us as wars and international conflicts continue. Political volatility will, of course, impact our local, regional, and national economies. During this year of uncertainty, we need our government leaders to focus on providing stability for our residents and businesses. A vital part of stability is housing for people and families. In 2024, and really over the next decade, we need to think boldly to solve our housing crisis. Whether it is our business climate, quality of life, equity, transportation, or housing, there are many factors that will influence a person's decision to live and work here. If people can't find housing, they will leave. If employers can't find people, they will not start a business. They will not expand their business. Or worse, they will leave as well. The solution to the region's housing crisis is that we urgently need more housing production. The numbers tell the story. Decades of underproduction in our housing sector has created an inadequate supply and driven up prices. From 1960 to 1979, Massachusetts averaged almost 30,000 new private housing units. But since 1980, we averaged just 19,000 new permits annually. Since 2010, the numbers are worse. Massachusetts averaged just over 15,000 new building permits annually for private housing. This is simple supply and demand. With more housing production and more available units, prices will fall. We are seeing this in other cities where they're experiencing the decline of rent prices because of increases in housing production. This includes one of our competitor cities, Austin, Texas, where rents fell 6%. Governor Healey's housing bond bill is a bold step in the right direction for housing policy in the Commonwealth. We urgently need a comprehensive approach, and the bill provides needed resources to support housing production of all types. I applaud the Haley-Driscoll administration and Secretary Ed Augustus for this first step of many, and look forward to working with both the administration and the legislature to strengthen this bill. And while this legislation has many positive elements, the Chamber stresses that housing policies that add to our already high housing costs or create disincentives to housing production must be avoided. I have significant concerns regarding the statewide local option to impose new transfer taxes. Jurisdictions that implemented transfer taxes, like New York and New Jersey, have permitted less housing in the years after the tax was implemented. At the state and local levels, we need to shift our attention to production and stop trying to promote policies like rent control and transfer fees that only limit production. We need to pursue other strategies such as land use planning, permitting reform, and housing production incentives for cities, towns, and builders throughout the Commonwealth. Residents, employers, and entire communities are frustrated with the unreliable, inefficient, and broken transportation infrastructure and systems. And this is another reason why we lose talent to other states that have greater, more efficient mobility. I am more confident that we have turned a corner on truly prioritizing our mobility needs than I have felt in decades. A great first step is to have effective leaders in place. Governor Healey made wise appointments with the T General Manager Phil Ing and Secretary Monica Tibbetts-Nutt. Phil Ing has already demonstrated the value of having a true public transit professional in charge of the T. He's focused right where we want him, on the fundamentals of service reliability and safety, eliminating slow zones, and fixing stations. If we build a transportation system that our workforce and our residents need and deserve, not only will we improve mobility, we will also successfully move forward on other public policy priorities, including access to affordable housing, downtown vitality, economic opportunity, and climate goals. And reliable and efficient transportation ties directly to equity. An expansive, reliable, affordable transportation system allows residents to pursue any job or educational opportunity and provides access to health care. Launched with our board chair, Ron O'Hanley, State Street CEO, Transportation First is the Chamber's outcome-focused campaign for transportation superinvestments and reforms so people and employers can start, stay, and succeed in Massachusetts. Of course, we know we must prioritize fixing our broken system, but we need a bold plan to do both, fix the current and prepare for the future. It's not going to be easy or quick. The MBTA has been transparent that the new price tag to fix our T is $24.5 billion. Let's face it, the transportation policies of the past 30 years have left us in a mess, and the biggest challenge in fixing it will be figuring out how to pay for it. Transportation First's proposed approach is to embrace the urgency of the moment and meet these challenges with long-term, rational financial strategies and solutions. The ongoing transition to electric vehicles and the subsequent reduction in gas tax revenue collections is a significant challenge to our state's transportation revenue picture. More electric vehicles mean less gas tax. To prepare for that change and to ensure the state has revenue sources that are sustainable, reliable, and sufficient for investment, there needs to be alignment of the long-term funding requirements and pricing of mobility. Importantly, the financing plan needs to consider geographic and social equity and the critical repairs of roads and bridges, as well as public transit throughout Massachusetts. This is not just a Boston issue. Fundamental to our approach to dealing with our mobility funding crisis will be to embrace public transportation as a public good that we all benefit from, and thus we all need to share in the costs. The way we all pay for consuming mobility, whether on public transit or driving, needs to change if we are going to compete in a 21st century economy. The moment is now for bold action that fixes our transportation systems. As we consider the importance and necessity of every person succeeding in the Commonwealth, the business community is invested in the success of our next generation of workers and leaders, our students. The Chamber has been working closely with Mayor Wu and Boston School Superintendent Mary Skipper to move forward an innovative business community BPS partnership model that aligns learning experiences with the needs of the 21st century economy. The partnership is how we will prepare our students for meaningful careers. A key element of this strategy is that we are calling on our business community to deepen their engagement with BPS to help guide curriculum development, in-class instruction, learn and earn models, experiential learning that builds indispensable skills for the workplace. This will be a Chamber priority in 2024. Recognizing the importance of vocational education, Mayor Wu welcomed the business community to the table and asked that I serve as co-chair of the Madison Park Steering Committee. Together, we are ensuring that employers are active partners to help provide nurturing learning environments, strong curricula, and career pathways for our students. Our 21st century economy needs a strong voc ed program for Boston students. But we must also hold our state to high educational standards through appropriate accountability and metric tools to track student outcomes. One of these essential tools for transparency is the MCAS test, which allows the state to hold school districts accountable to students and their families and track any racial and socioeconomic achievement gaps. Removing the structure of accountability is a profound disservice to our students and harmful to our schools. Apprenticeships empower our talent. I celebrated the Chamber's innovative Massachusetts Apprenticeship Network during last year's speech, and I'm pleased to share the exciting progress. Employers are answering the call to utilize the apprenticeship model to recruit, train, and retain the workforce. The network advances professional roles in tech, healthcare, financial services, and more. These professional apprenticeships unlock economic mobility for the apprentices, their families, and their communities in high-earning careers. Since the founding of the network less than 2 years ago, there have been more than 355 apprentices hired by 16 employers throughout the Commonwealth. And in 2024, the network will be strengthened with more apprentices and more employers. In 2024, we must take a hard look at the Massachusetts healthcare industry. We lead the world in healthcare innovation and life-saving practices. While the healthcare industry fuels our economic engine and creates hundreds of thousands of jobs, high healthcare costs impact our business environment. From 2017 to 2021, the average annual total healthcare spending in Massachusetts was above the state's cost containment benchmark. And commercial healthcare spending growth was substantially above the U.S. average in 2020 and in 2021. Finding the right balance between maintaining the nation's highest quality healthcare standards while also ensuring affordable options for individuals, families, and businesses continues to be a challenge. Our residents and people around the world rely on our hospitals, and we will continue to prioritize and advocate for the growth and accessibility of our healthcare industry. As I said at the beginning, in Massachusetts, we have all the ingredients needed for a strong and growing economy. And with strong business community leadership, continued success is there for the taking. We all know that a functioning government is essential to our shared prosperity, and that a breakdown in public administration, whether at the municipal or federal level, has real consequences in the lives of real people. And I'll say it again, our talented workforce is our competitive advantage. Thankfully, in an era of divisiveness, Massachusetts is a beacon, guiding the rest of the nation in the utilization of equity as a competitive edge. People want to live and work in a place where they have ample opportunities and know their identity can be harnessed for success. I'm optimistic about the year ahead. Together, through strategic and collective advocacy and action, we will make Massachusetts the best place for all people and all businesses to thrive. Thank you for joining us.